Hi, my name is Mason Davis. There are 60 girls in this year's senior class, most of whom have attended St. Mary's since middle school, about half since lower school, and then there are a select few, 12 in total, who hold the title of lifers. Marylee is one of them. For the past 15 years, Marylee and I have attended many of the exact same classes, enjoyed hundreds of recesses on the lower school playground, sat through too many Christmas pageant rehearsals to count, and celebrated 14 end-of-year grade parties. Together, we have grown up at St. Mary's, learning about the bridge to carrying, Latin conjugations, and how man always settles by a river. Even though I have been in the same grade as Marylee for almost a decade and a half, I was not until we nervously walked in, side by side, into our first yearbook meeting freshman year that I learned what a truly amazing person Marylee is, all 5 feet 1 inch of her. While working with her on staff for the past 4 years, she has proven to be the amazingly feisty, brilliant, witty, beautifully creative girl that I know today as my Carillon co-editor, fellow classic scholar, and incredibly loyal friend. So without further delay, I give you a survivor of AP Latin, the equestrian extraordinaire, Marylee Muscari.
It is Sunday morning around 11 o'clock. My grandfather, who we call Pooh, pulls up to our house in his tan SUV. He comes in to bring the paper to my dad and asks the same question every time. Would y'all like to join me today for lunch around 1:30? The answer is always yes. Every single Sunday, my family has Sunday lunch at 1:30. Typically, we enjoy barbecue from either Central Barbecue or the commissary, but occasionally my mom decides to cook something different. This tradition has been in my family for generations. We like to joke that it is just another Sunday on the for the Fulmer Muscaris. To me, this is normal. Having lunch at the same time, the same place, with the same people every week. That cozy little hand-built log cabin is where I have spent almost every Sunday for my entire life. I have lunched with my grandparents, great aunt, cousins, and random relatives that come in town from as far away as Hawaii. Sometimes it's 4 people and sometimes it's 12, but we always know that on Sunday at 1:30, our family is gathering for lunch at Pooh's house. Even when my immediate family is away and I am the only one in town, I am there at exactly 1:30. Occasionally, I am asked to plan lunch. My uncle will call or text me asking if I can host it, and because I'm a picky eater, I have to plan what we eat. My love of baking has also weaved its way into lunch. Every now and then I make dessert, and whether it's brownies or oatmeal cookies with cream cheese frosting, they are always gone by the end of lunch. Just recently, my uncle told me that Susan, my grandfather's girlfriend, who has become part of the regular lunch crowd, wanted to make one of her favorite dishes from her childhood. Aspic. It was tomato aspic. I had always heard about this 1950s dish and could never understand who in their right mind would think this was pleasant or appetizing. Now, my first thought upon hearing this was to ask, do you think it would be okay if I brought a Caesar in a bag? But after further reflection, I decided this might be rude, as she made it herself from an authentic 1950s recipe that her friend gave her. So after gathering up all the willpower I could manage, I went down towards the barn and wasted as much time as I could feeding the horses and playing with the kittens. But alas, the dreaded time came, 1:30. I walked through the door and what did I see? Aspic, tomato aspic. Red slabs of Jell-O, about 1/2 inch thick, laying atop romaine lettuce next to a bowl of mayonnaise sprinkled with paprika. I very quickly went to the sunroom and pretended that I didn't notice it. After substantial chit-chat, it was time to serve ourselves and head to the table. My cousin, who was only briefly in town and just as fidgety about the whole situation as me, offered to split her piece of tomato aspic with me. We sat at the table with alarmed looks and forked up a tiny slice. The aspic melted into nothing but V8 juice and celery. But the worst part was over. And after constant teasing and only 2 more modest bites, I was done and it was time for the ever-delicious caramel cake. Of course, my cousin and I ate the aspic. It was weird and gross, but we ate it for Susan. While sometimes the meal is not ordinary, the meaning of lunch is always the same. Gathering the family from all different places to sit together at the table. We share a meal and trade stories, and I know that I'm a part of something bigger. This tradition has been in my family for generations, and even now, our youngest at the table is 9, and our oldest is 91. When I'm in college, missing home, I know exactly where my family will be every Sunday at 1:30. It's comforting to know that some things will always stay the same. Thank you.